David Dunn is a professor of international politics at the University of Birmingham, and he joins us live now from Birmingham in the UK. All right, then, how long has Biden got, do you think?
It's not a certainty that he will go, because we hear that the Clintons are actually fighting to try and keep him in the race. But there really is a very narrow window of time in which the Democratic Party need to act in order to replace him. So there are speculation that he could go at the end of the weekend or early next week. But that will be really against the wishes of both the Biden, his closest advisors, and his family, who have fought tooth and nail to keep him in the race. So I'm not putting money on it yet. I think that the scales have tipped towards him being replaced, but it's not a certainty.
What about Donald Trump then and the Republican camp? They seem to have so much momentum right now. Have they done enough to secure the win, to sway swing voters and to get the vote out in their favour?
Well, I think what's clearly very evident from the convention and that convention speech by Trump is that they believe that they need to do very little to win now. So in a sense, actually, the speech was designed to be conciliatory. It was designed to appeal to a wider audience. It was very much aimed outside the room to the TV audience rather than to the red meat Republicans in the room. The idea that they were trying to be much more, say, conciliatory and unifying. I mean, the words and the tone were very different to what we hear from Trump on the speech, clearly written by his advisors for him to read. When he did break discipline and riff off the script that was provided, so there was sort of an odd comparison between the conciliatory speech and the real Trump, as it were, trying to break out and ad lib and add things to it and bring in sort of more attack lines against the Democratic Party and the resentment that he has against how he feels he's being treated. But clearly, I think that they have rightly sensed that the Democratic Party is in disarray, and Trump has had an extraordinary month in terms of starting off with the Supreme Court saying that he has presidential immunity, from his documents case being dropped in Florida, from the victory in the debate, which was very clearly his, from all the problems that Biden has had, topped off with the fact that actually he had to suspend his campaigning in the Utah, Nevada area because he's got COVID. I mean, the man has had a huge amount of luck, and of course, the way in which he's milking the assassination attempt is just hugely being beneficial. So, yeah, if the assassin or would-be assassin thought he was going to disrupt the race in one way, he's done it in a very different way by actually boosting Trump and boosting the idea that Trump is now the divinely inspired candidate and God's choice.
What about Trump's policies themselves? He said he wants a stronger, bolder America, an America where Americans are richer. How successful do you think his policies are likely to be in achieving those goals?
Well, there's several aspects of this. I mean, the speech was actually very light on policy specifics. So he said things like, oh, we will end all wars internationally within a day, without giving any evidence and no credibility to the idea that that could be achieved. He talked about policy areas such as we will finish the border wall, which we've mostly constructed. That's just simply not true. He didn't build the border wall when he was in office. He added a few miles to it and reinforced bits that were already in existence. But actually, most of that 2,000-mile border is not anywhere near completed. And in terms of other things, there was just a huge amount of generality. The tone of the speech was rather like an evangelical convention where the pastor will say, God will make things happen for you, without actually giving any evidence of how that might come about. So it was designed, I think, deliberately to avoid the controversial policies that the Republicans have being aired to that wider audience, because these policies are hugely controversial. We now have the vice presidential candidate on the ticket who opposes abortion under any circumstances. we have policies that will be hugely inflationary. If you put a blanket 10% tariff on all impacts into the United States, that will have a hugely inflationary impact on the American economy. If you actually want to deport millions of undocumented Americans, that will have a huge impact on the American economy, because those people do a lot of informal work in the American economy. So actually, the impacts of the policies are hugely problematic. And partly for that reason, outside of the actual convention hall, they're keeping quiet about them.
All right, David Dunn from Birmingham, thank you so much for joining us on the NewsHour today.